Chapter 342. He sleeps all day, became the strongest and most powerful man alive. Standing in front of Delius, Lu Shang kept a cool expression with his hands in his pockets, completely unguarded as he calmly watched his opponent's reaction. Seeing that attitude, Delius clenched his fists, channeling pale yellow spiritual energy and raw, violent power into his arm. Immediately after, Delius' face turned cold and murderous. He threw a massive punch forward with intense bloodlust, clearly aiming to take Lu Sheng out right then and there. The pressure from the strike radiated outward, terrifying the onlookers and sending them scrambling away from the blast zone. The crowd scrambled to escape, shouting at each other to get as much distance as possible. Everyone was floored, unable to believe this kind of power was coming from someone at the March level. One guy, though terrified as he ran, couldn't help his curiosity and glanced back to see what was happening. At that moment, it hit him that anyone brave enough to go toe-to-toe with Delius definitely wasn't some random nobody. Meanwhile, the red-haired guy with Kim Tuit also felt the massive pressure radiating from Delius' fist. Looking at the battle, he admitted that even as a level 13, he felt completely dwarfed by the sheer power. The longer he watched, the more worried and grim the red-haired man's expression became. He figured that one wrong move, and anyone would be absolutely crushed by that terrifying force. Because of that, every eye on the scene was glued to Delius. They all speculated that the three-eyed man daring to challenge Delius must also be a top-tier fighter with a lord-level bloodline. It was only then that everyone truly understood the sheer weight and power behind the title lord-level bloodline. With a punch that terrifying, even gods at the same level were in danger of getting wiped out. Yet, even as Delius closed in, Lu Sheng just stood there, totally unfazed. In an instant, the violent gale from the punch tore toward Lu Sheng at breakneck speed. Just as the blow was about to land, Lu Sheng let out a faint smirk, showing his first bit of emotion since the fight kicked off. He didn't dodge or block, deciding instead to take the full brunt of the punch with his bare body. That destructive force ripped through his position and continued to tear up the ground behind him with pure violence. Following a massive explosion, the energy from the punch took the shape of a powerful dragon, dumping its entire force onto Lu Sheng. Once the dragon phantom faded, Lu Sheng emerged looking a bit worse for wear in front of the crowd. The trace of blood at the corner of his mouth showed that the strike had actually managed to hurt him. Surprisingly, Lu Sheng just smiled and complimented the attack, calling it fantastic. His grin widened, radiating a level of excitement that was rarely seen from him. Instead of getting mad, Lu Sheng praised Delius' law of destruction, admitting that a lord-level bloodline was indeed powerful enough to draw blood. Those calm words left Delius absolutely stunned. He was shaking, unable to wrap his head around how Lu Sheng was still standing after taking a full power hit. The people watching from a distance couldn't hear the conversation, so all they saw was Lu Sheng getting hit and bleeding. This got them pumped up, and they started cheering, men stopped praising Delius' terrifying strength. Someone in the crowd shouted that Delius was a god who commanded respect from any opponent at his level. Another guy agreed, saying that performance was totally worthy of Delius' height. In contrast to the rowdy crowd, Delius just stood there in silence in front of Lu Sheng. Even though he was the one who landed the hit, he was the one feeling completely shell-shocked. Lu Sheng nonchalantly wiped the blood from his lip and started breaking down the power he'd just felt. He realized that Delius' punch was a mix of lightning and storm energy. These are two high-tier laws with massive destructive potential. Mastering just one is enough to make you a top-tier powerhouse. What's even scarier is that Delius has both and fuses them into the law of destruction, cranking up the power level significantly. Seeing his opponent calmly dissecting his moves made Delius even more anxious, and he started breaking a sweat. His initial arrogance vanished, replaced by a sense of caution that kept him from making any reckless moves. In the middle of the tension, Lu Sheng casually brushed some dust off his shirt like the attack was no big deal. He admitted that if he were still level 12, that punch might have actually messed him up pretty bad. But then, Lu Sheng looked hyped and called Delius three-eyed boy just to mess with his head. That nickname pissed Delius off so much he started grinding his teeth, unable to accept what was happening. Losing his cool, Delius whipped out a halberd and kept denying the outcome of the last exchange. The spiritual energy around him swirled into a vortex, enveloping his body and his weapon. He claimed he was a once-in-a-lifetime genius and that no one would survive his next strike. The moment he said it, a wave of power blasted out from him, knocking back the spectators even though they'd already moved away. People could only shield themselves with their arms, screaming in total panic. Delius' power kept climbing as he tightened his grip on the halberd. Purple lightning crackling with the power of the law kept flashing, signaling that an even deadlier attack was on the way. Facing all that, Lu Sheng stayed chill, just watching the lightning charge up. Right then, Julius lunged forward with a powerful thrust of his halberd. The sheer force of his aura blew everyone back, except for Lu Shang. He claimed this move was 10 times more powerful than his last punch. In a flash, Julius was right in front of Lu Shang, his power literally warping the air around them. From a distance, Turing and his group felt the massive pressure spreading out. He pointed toward the battlefield in shock, urging everyone to take a look. As Haikuk Dao and the others got closer, that terrifying aura washed over them. Everyone was frozen, unable to process the insane power exploding ahead of them. Haikuk Dao recognized it as the law of destruction, the kind of energy that would make even the best fighters break a sweat. Instinctively, Haikuk Dao looked over at Lu Shang, who was standing right in Julius' path. He was blown away by Julius' power and shouted Lu Shang's name in a panic, knowing how lethal that law was. But Lu Shang didn't look scared at all, he just kept that confident, expectant grin. A moment later, his excitement became even more obvious. Lu Shang declared that this was exactly the kind of power and thrill he'd been waiting for. He wasn't just talking, either. He actually reached out to meet the incoming attack. He spread his arms wide, dropping all defense to take Julius' halberd head on. The brush with death actually pumped him up so much that he started egging his opponent on to hurry up and strike. Julius gripped his weapon and kept charging forward. His face twisted into a snarl of rage, veins popping out on his skin. Even with the tip of the halberd right in his face, Lu Shang didn't flinch and kept right on smiling. Just then, a massive hand slammed down from above as a voice boomed, telling them both to knock it off. Feeling a power that actually warped space, Lu Shang finally looked surprised. He instinctively looked up to see who had just crashed the party. Julius was also freaked out when his attack was stopped dead in its tracks, unable to move an inch further. That surge of power landed right in front of Lu Shang, forcing him back and separating the two of them. The person who stepped in quickly appeared right before them. He sternly reminded them that this was an important area, not a place for them to just start brawling. Standing between them, the master ordered them to stop right now. He told them to save it for the celestial selection if they wanted to settle things officially. This master's appearance sent a buzz through the crowd. Someone recognized him as a big shot from the Celestial Academy and a level 14 powerhouse. Another guy remarked that only a level 14 could actually have enough juice to stop these two geniuses from going at it. Once they realized who the old man was, everyone's attitude shifted to total respect. They all looked at him with a mix of deep respect and fear. Without another word, the official from the Celestial Academy took off. Before leaving, he told Lu Shang and Julius to follow him. Lu Shang reacted instantly, following the old man without a second thought. Even though he wasn't happy about it, Julius had no choice but to follow once he saw the other guy leave. He ground his teeth in frustration, wondering where the hell they were going. After the three of them left, the onlookers started huddling up to talk about the fight. What they were most hyped about was the insane power of that three-eyed guy. Even Kim Tyet couldn't hide how pumped he was. According to him, that guy had mastered the legendary law of destruction. Since it's a combo of lightning and storm, being able to hold his own against Julius like that was a massive deal. The red-haired guy agreed, noting that Julius' opponent was pretty tough too, even if Julius hadn't gone all out yet. Walking by and overhearing them, Turing was totally confused. Finally, he couldn't help himself, and had to speak up to set the record straight. He explained that the guy with 3 eyes and the eye of destruction was actually the one named Julius. Him too it, and the red-haired guy whipped around to look at him, totally startled. Their faces instantly dropped in pure shock. They almost couldn't believe their ears. Because if the 3-eyed guy was Julius, then the other guy's identity was definitely way more terrifying than they'd imagined.